This is the fourth draft resolution issued by the EU Parliament, coming after Theresa May delivered her own vision of Brexit last week. The UK Prime Minister had called for regulatory alignment in some areas of the single market, which the EU dismissed as double cherry-picking. While reiterating the EU's desire for a close partnership, the draft guideline says the repeatedly stated positions of the UK limits the depth of a future partnership. The EU adds being outside the customs union and single market will inevitably lead to frictions. Crucially, the document says Britain would be treated like any other third country in respect of financial services, saying the EU and the UK would no longer share a common regulatory, supervisory, enforcement and judiciary framework. It adds this would unfortunately have negative economic consequences. But while the EU warned it would not allow cherry-picking of sectors of the internal market, Philip Hammond has insisted that every EU trade deal has been unique. In a speech today, the UK Chancellor argued that it was possible to include financial services within a trade deal and that it was in everyone's interest to do so. Mr Hammond challenged the idea that it was impossible by highlighting the EU's transatlantic trade and investment partnership with the US. The EU had wanted financial services cooperation included in the agreement, and the person who proposed regulatory cooperation back in 2014 was none other than Michel Barnier himself. While the EU Parliament doesn't have a formal role in Brexit negotiations, it will have a binding vote on the final deal. The guidelines will be signed off by EU leaders later this month before talks can begin. Meanwhile, in a Downing Street meeting with Brexit Minister David Davis, the European Parliament's Brexit coordinator Guy Verhofstadt said the UK should stay very near to EU rules as the best way forward for the British economy.